Hello everyone and welcome back to another very special video. It's been a while since we've done one, the last one was for Loki. But today we have another Disney Plus interview and this time it is for Hawkeye. As always, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys supporting me on all my social platforms. So I just got to say thank you so much for all of that. And if you didn't catch it already, if you want to ask questions for any future interviews, follow my Discord server, the link will be down in the description. I'm not going to waste too much time, so let's jump into my first Hawkeye interview. Enjoy. Welcome everyone to another exciting interview. As you all know, Marvel, the whole fandom has went into meltdown over the brand new Disney Plus show Hawkeye. With that being said, I'm very excited to introduce the guest that I have on today. We're going to be talking to Marvel Hawkeye actor Adelle Drahos. Do you want to say a quick little hello?
Hi everybody. I'm Adele. I play Missy, who's a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm very excited.
Okay, perfect. I don't want to waste too much of your time, so we're just going to jump straight into some questions here. And the first one, how was the audition process? How did you get the role in a Marvel show?
So I had to audition multiple times. I'm based in Atlanta, and because of COVID, it was self-taping, which I have a self-taping setup. So I did the initial audition and actually had gotten pinned for the role. And then they re-released the audition with a completely different character description. So I auditioned a second time with new notes that went out, completely new breakdown. And then I had a virtual callback on Zoom and booked it from there.
So did you know what like role you were auditioning for, or did you just know it was a role in the show Hawkeye?
No, I knew the character was nerdy and into like sci-fi fantasy fiction because that was actually in the breakdown. I knew that a LARP was happening because that also was in the scene, the sides. I honestly thought I was auditioning for Loki at the time, unaware that I'd actually auditioned for Loki like 6 months prior. I didn't even realize Hawkeye was on the radar at that time.
Okay, so you knew the character you were auditioning for, but not exactly what it was going to be in.
Right, because I didn't know who the scene was with because they change
Okay.
up names and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting, honestly. So you were not interviewing, you were auditioning for a nerdy kind of character, like you said. Are you or were you a fan of Marvel before the interview? Like, did you know kind of what's going on?
Yeah. I haven't read any of the comics, but I've watched all of the movies. I'm a very easy sell on superhero movies. I love the whole genre. So I've seen all the movies up until then, enjoyed them, had been following, got more into some of the backstories of everybody and looking up characters as auditions started coming in for all the projects. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm quite obviously a very easy sell. I love it too. Like the fact that if you were a fan beforehand and then you get to join the franchise, that must be like the best feeling ever.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Because I have a lot of respect for Marvel, and I've gotten a lot more respect for Marvel having now worked on the project. I think Marvel is so smart. I
Oh
think they're
my,
so
yeah.
smart in their
I
storytelling.
I am saying it, like I say it every day online for whatever kind of thing I'm covering. Like the MCU and Marvel in general, marketing wise, story wise, everything wise, the way that they've like monopolized movies is actually unbelievable. It makes
It's
me
this whole
speechless. Like
thing, right? Like, yeah,
it's crazy. And now
and
they're
they
doing it with
respect
TV
their fans.
shows too.
They respect their fans too, which like the whole Zemo dance, and people are like, we want to see his whole dance, and they're like, all right, here you
Yeah.
go.
And
Like I was like, this
there's
was
so many like there's so many like different occasions that that's happened on where fans want something and they'll be like, do you know what, we'll give you it. Like that's why it's such a great company.
yeah.
So when was the filming for Hawkeye? Like how long ago was the filming for Hawkeye?
So my bit was like late winter, early spring last this year. It's a long year.
This year. It's
Mhm.
interesting. So like what was the again, what was the most interesting part about being on set? What was it like? Or if you
Mm,
have any like funny stories or anything like that.
yeah,
an
Well,
insight on what it's like working for Marvel?
it was a lot of fun. I mean, if you can imagine.
I wish I could.
I can only speak to my experience, but it was a lot of fun. It was very, very playful. And that's something that I realized that Marvel does and does well is they will explore a lot of different ideas. And so we personally, especially with the directors, Reese, Barton, Birdie, we got to do a lot of improv on set. And, if they have a thing or like, hey, I want to try this, Marvel's like, okay, yeah, try it, see what happens. And, it'll make the cut or it won't. But I think that's also, another brilliant thing that Marvel does is they're not just like locked onto the script, especially in this world that is already so dense with a preset of a world.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like they have impeccable source material.
Yeah. Like the Easter eggs everywhere. It's so fun. But yeah, it was a lot of fun because of the improv. And I'd never gotten to play quite that much on a set before, as far as just see what happens, throw out this line. And Reese would often be like, hey, add this, or add this, or a fun bit when we were filming the very first scene where I stop Clint, Jeremy, Hawkeye, one of the three names.
Yeah, whatever Ronan, there's a fourth one.
Yes, there is. When I stop him, we're doing that scene. And then as that scene's progressing, he's chatting with the director and he gets this idea and he's like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if they're trying to sign me up, but I can't give them any personal information. So you actually see that made the cut, but that was added at the very last minute where they're like, hey, we're just going to throw in this dialogue and you guys just respond.
I must say, I'm sorry to cut you off. That whole scene of him, walking up to the LARP, getting initiated, like when he's quite clear his character is like a grumpy kind of older man. He just doesn't care, doesn't want to, he's not interested. That is by far, like I do weekly reactions to Hawkeye, and I was dead watching that. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. That's like, so far in the show, everything's been great, but that's like my top 3, maybe even top 2 scenes of the show so far was the whole LARP thing. I thought that was like just amazing how fun it was.
Oh man, when they did the slow motion section, they brought in the epic music.
And he's just walking, he just couldn't,
I was like, amazing, this is amazing.
It's even funnier when like in reality, if he wanted to, he'd be taking everyone out of there within 5 minutes. The thing would be over. Like, so obviously, we've seen you're in episode 2. It was episode 2 and episode 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure about the other ones yet, but we don't know if you'll show up in episode 6. Who was kind of your favorite actors to work with while you were on set? Who was the most fun to be around?
I mean, I might be biased, but the other LARPers. I mean, I spent the most time with them, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're all Atlanta talent, and I actually knew of them. So that was really cool, walking onto set and knowing like, oh, there's kind of a friendly face. Because we were just kind of thrown into the deep of it from day one. And yeah. But so obviously, I've had scenes with both Clint, with both Jeremy and Haley, and they're both lovely. I mean, they're definitely like, we didn't get like super chatty because they have a lot to do and a lot to work with, and they're given a lot at once. But in working with them, they were both very lovely. Jeremy was really fun because he was riffing just so much, and he would just throw out so many lines or quirks or little, improv dialogue that's just fun to riff with.
He's got to be used to it by now. 10 years in the same universe.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's so crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's like pretty much half of my life. Like the MCU's been going on longer than half the time I've been alive. So I think I know the answer to this next one already, but I'm going to ask you either way. Did you get the full script? Do you know what happens? Now, I'm not asking what happens if you do know, but do you know what happens, or do you know other parts outside of your scenes?
So we never got the full script. We only got the sides that my name was mentioned in. So there were even scenes that I was technically in that I didn't know I was in until I was looking at my friend's script.
That is wild. Because I'm
like I said, we'd spent half the shoot trying to figure out what else is happening from the other cast and crew.
So you're just like pulling all the pieces together and trying to like figure out the timeline.
Trying, yeah. And there's still some surprises in the show, so it's still pretty cool.
So I take it as if you don't know the whole script, that you've been keeping up to date with the show. I assume so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's been your favorite part of the show so far?
I mean, the LARPers.
I mean, that was one of my favorite parts.
It honestly, it's a lot of fun. And I know, like, some of the kickback is, oh, it's, too cheesy, but I love the situational humor of it. I love the nod of fandom, like that. It's so meta that like we literally are the embodiment of who some of the greatest fans are of this guy, both in our world and in his.
Yeah.
And I love that.
It's almost like breaking the third wall without breaking the third wall.
Yeah.
Same with like the scene, where they're walking along and she's like, oh, that's the Katniss Everdeen scene.
Yeah.
And you've got people dressing up as these superheroes. Like, that could literally just be shot anywhere. That doesn't have to actually be acted out. Like, you could go up somewhere and find the Avengers, in New York somewhere. Like,
mm-hmm. And I think it's fun to see like what their world looks like as well.
Yeah.
But
like,
yeah,
that's like seeing what people like me or people, like super fans would be like, but if it was real life and not movies that we were watching. It's really interesting. I love that too.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. Figuring like who blipped and who didn't, just like the little details, and everyone within this world has their own story. I'm a little biased, but I
don't blame you.
It's really cool. To me, it's kind of like, I don't know, who's like the Supernatural fans, but I enjoyed that show, and they were very good with their fan base as well. And they had that whole really meta episode where they got transported into our world, and the main actors were actually actors. It was so trippy. But this sort of borderlines that, where it's like, to me, I think it's really cool because it is a nod to the fans, and it's putting them in a positive light as well. Like, a lot of times, nerds have a reputation, I guess.
I know that part.
Right. Well, and especially LARPers. So I had a college roommate who was into LARPing, and we were chatting recently, and she's like, the way sometimes people treat her or talk to her when they find out she LARPs, I'm like, that's ridiculous. I mean, you can be a nerd of anything. Somebody who goes to the gym every day and, pumps iron for like 5 hours, that's a nerd in working out. It's just a different
half of that, like more than half of that science. So
yeah.
Don't see it as that. So
yeah.
I can 100% relate to what you just said. Through doing stuff online, I've made friends with a lot of people who are like cosplayers, LARPers, all that kind of stuff. And they've went from, in the last, since this stuff's kind of more common now, they went from people who were made fun of and who got negative kind of feedback to people who are now at like premieres and events and on the radar for big because the last couple of years it's became a lot more common, and people do think it's really cool now, as opposed to what you were just saying about, the kind of more negative aspect of it. But I love seeing it. The more it's public, like in Hawkeye, the more it's stuff that's kind of more common in mainstream media, the more it will get more popular. I'm wording it really wrong, but
no, I follow you.
You know what I mean?
I totally agree. And I think that's great, because who am I to say like what you can and can't love to do if it doesn't hurt anyone?
Exactly. Yeah, like 100%. So maybe worth mentioning, as of the time we're talking right now, episode 5 has came out, but episode 6 is in a week's time. So with that being said, spoilers if anyone hasn't seen it, but did you know that A, Yelena was going to be in the show, or B, that Kingpin was even in the show or involved in any part? Wilson Fisk.
So I had a good idea that Yelena was going to, from rumor on set, but also because of the post-credit scene. It's like, how do you drop that and then not bring her in? I mean, like, Marvel couldn't do that to their fans. So I was like,
I'm pretty sure like Yelena was confirmed to be in it, but like, did you know like anything about like how her kind of character was going to fit in, or where it would be?
Not apart from really what the post-credit scene.
Yeah, just kind of like speculation. And did you know anything about Kingpin, which has just been revealed in the last episode? I lost my mind this morning watching that.
I didn't. So I'm like 15 minutes into episode 5. So I haven't seen all of it, but that you're fine. But I mean, I know he's somehow in the show, but honestly, it wasn't really until the premiere that his name was even brought to my attention. So I know some fans were already speculating because of the whole mafia thing. But I had no idea that he was attached to the project, or that there was this whole other plot line. Like, we knew the bros were a thing, but I'm not in those scenes, so I don't have those sides. So I really don't know what any of that plot line is.
I've been loving them too. The Tracksuit Mafia are hilarious.
Aren't
they are great.
Like, they're just so derpy.
Like literally, like they're so stupid, but they're somehow a mafia. The one scene where they were meant, like, he was talking about what he should get his girlfriend as a present, and then talking about Imagine Dragons. Like, I was just watching it, like, what is going on? But I love it.
Yeah, they're fun. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of like, all right, it's the bros versus the LARPers. Like, who's cooler? But they're both like equally fun.
It's got to be the LARPers. I'll side with the LARPers. They're on the right side of the good versus evil at the moment. So at the moment, who knows?
True.
Saying that, not that. Do you know any idea about how the show ends? Do you know anything about the end of the show? You don't have to say it if you do, but
I might have a few ideas to how it ends. We know that Echo's going to get her spinoff, that Maya Lopez is going to get her.
Very excited for that.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. Like, what a character.
I have this is like a complete side note, and it's touching on that. I have loved how they do the death scenes in Hawkeye. It is so interesting. Like when like hearing aids come out, or when you see it from the POV when like they literally can't hear anything. And I really like, I've never really seen that in anything else. The Walking Dead done it recently in their last season. But apart from that, like it really puts you, like, you don't really know what it's like to be deaf, obviously. Or I don't anyway, obviously. But it's really interesting. Every time there's a death scene, I'm like really like engrossed in it. And when it goes silent, it makes you more like just like you're there. I love it so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's great for, people that are actually deaf. Like representation wise, the show's been great for that. All the Disney Plus shows have been great for representation of different, groups.
Yeah. They're really listening.
Yeah, that's, again, I was touching back on the fact that Marvel are just doing it better than anyone at everything.
And just in the whole lineup of shows that are coming too, they're diving in. Like, I don't know about you, but I've noticed like there's a lot of like strong young women coming into the picture. I'm like, okay, girl power.
Like, every Disney Plus show, not everyone, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I had a female villain, I guess, but Wanda was taking over in WandaVision. That was great. I was obsessed with WandaVision. Obviously, you got Sylvie from Loki, who was great. Kate Bishop, who I'm not kidding, might be my favorite female in the whole MCU. I love her so much. And just in general, all, like you said, all the shows, She-Hulk and Yelena from Black Widow, like there's so many female characters. You are right, and it's great.
Yeah.
I've been loving it, and the lineup for the future looks amazing too. And that kind of ties into the next question as well. Actually, my next question was, if you this was providing you were a Marvel fan and kind of knew what was going on in the universe, which you do. What upcoming project are you most excited for from like a fan point of view? Because there's a lot of them. I think there's like 36 or something. Yeah. And a lot of them aren't announced yet, but even the ones announced, there's so many things coming out.
Yeah.
And you can't say Spider-Man. Because
I was literally about to be like, well,
that doesn't count. It came out for me today because I'm in the UK. So from my point of view, Spider-Man doesn't count anymore. You have to choose something else.
Okay.
It's such an easy answer.
I know, but I'm so intrigued to see how they handle it, because it's I mean, no one's really crossed this bridge before. So I think
I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was unreal. Oh my God, it was so good. I saw it earlier this morning.
I love it. Oh gosh, this is gonna make me sound like a terrible fan. What is it? It's Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah. Oscar Isaac,
right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm very intrigued to see that one specifically.
That's the show. The show that I'm most looking forward to is Moon Knight, and it's probably like top. I think it's the one I'm looking forward to is Multiverse of Madness, just because it's, who knows? No one knows what it is. That's the best part. And then Moon Knight is also, that's my second favorite. It's a great answer.
Yeah, that would probably be the one I'm most intrigued about. And then I'm like, I'm looking forward to seeing like She-Hulk, but that's more of a biased reason because I have a bunch of friends, you know, I know people who are involved in some of these other shows. So I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see them.
That's an even cooler reason than just being a fan. You know, if you know people involved, that's great. So I'll take a few questions here from my followers and people in my Discord server. So I'll just kind of fire through them. They're pretty more lighthearted, fun kind of questions. So I've got a question here from a guy called Luca. Did you get to keep anything from the set?
Yes, I got my chair back.
That's so cool. Like the it has your name on it, right?
Yeah, so it has Hawkeye on the back, and then it has Missy with an arrow under it on the front, and that is cool. The first like chair back that has been what's the word?
Customized.
Yes, thank you. It doesn't just say cast.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the most exciting things when I walked on set and they walked us to our seats, and I was like, oh, "That's my character's name!" So I got to keep that. And I was just super pumped, and it's taped to my wall above my vanity. So I
was about to ask you. I bet that thing's like stuck right up on the wall, like, you know, above the fireplace kind of thing, like right front and center.
Yeah, I was very excited. It's such a simple thing, but I was so excited about that.
Oh man, I don't know what I would do for something like that. That would be great. So this is a great question. So I was taking questions last night and I was speaking to a few friends while I was doing it as well. And I read this question out and I was like, wow, that is like the best question I've heard that could be asked. If you could create your own arrow, like your own trick arrow, what would it do? And I can circle back to it because it's kind of hard to think of on the spot.
Ooh.
I can circle back to it if you want. It's from So. Sorry, I forgot to read out the name there. If you create your own trick arrow, what would it do? That is a great question. I can come back to it because it's kind of a hard one.
Okay, yeah, bring that one back.
Okay, so question here from Owen. Who is your favorite Marvel character?
Oh, all right. This is
a simple question, but it's hard to answer.
Well, there's so many of them.
And there's only going to be more soon. Like,
I know. Can I pick?
You can pick like 5. It doesn't have to be in order. Five, yeah. We'll go because that's too hard to answer. 5 off your favorite. It doesn't have to be in order.
Okay. So I don't know if this is dumb, but I really like Captain America. He's a good boy. It's Chris.
It's Chris Evans. Even I love Chris Evans.
He's just a good person. Like, and I latch on to that. Like the very hopeful characters.
Oh yeah. That's not stupid. That's not a dumb answer. That's like, it should be a staple answer.
Okay, good. So I like Captain America. I really loved T'Challa. Black Panther was one of the Marvel movies I actually went to the movie theaters multiple times to see.
Me too. Yeah.
So just because it wasn't a story about him trying to accept, you know, the power, and like he was ready to. It was a different kind of story with someone who was ready to step up to the mantle, and I thought that was really lovely.
It was just a great movie in general too. I loved Black Panther, and I went again. So I went a few times when it came out, and I went again. It re-released. I don't know if it was worldwide, but it re-released here after his death, after Chadwick Boseman's passing. So I went again to see it, and I got like a little Wakanda Forever tattoo in the Black Panther font. I loved Chadwick Boseman. I loved Black Panther. Like that's a great answer too.
Yeah. So that's Yelena. I mean, you know, Black Widow was written for Scarlett Johansson, but it's her Yelena.
It's a little bit mean to say, but she stole the show. The world fell in love with that woman after that movie. People were in love with Florence Pugh. Has a massive fan base already, but after that movie, like the whole, like from my point of view on the internet, like my kind of like my realm, people went into meltdown for Yelena.
Yeah,
and people still are going into meltdown for. People love Yelena.
No, she's fun. I can't wait to see what else she's going to bring. Like I said, I'm just in the first half of episode 5, spoiler, but just the scene between her and Kate, I'm like, oh, I want more of this. Like they're going to be fun.
Yeah. So I saw this online as well earlier, and I can't disagree with it. They're like the female version of Steve and Bucky.
Yeah.
You got the grouchy kind of like Russian one, and like the optimistic, upbeat American.
Yeah.
And I can't fault it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah. That's fun.
Two more.
Two more. I like the I'm gonna do two as one.
Okay.
The Black Widow Hawkeye. I love they're these two I mean the scene where like I mean how intense a scene where two people are trying to stop the other basically from suicide to save the world. Like what a setup. And I think it's crazy. Like I know they had like rewritten and reshot that entire scene from the original draft. And I'm glad that they did because
me too.
Just narrowing down on the two of them, I think.
Have you seen the original one?
Yeah, I watched.
I'm so glad they changed it too. It was cool, but it makes it so much more emotional with just the two of them. Oh my god. And the fact that obviously it's been touched on in Hawkeye a few times and people are still getting upset over it and still like crying about it weekly watching these episodes, like it shows how powerful that whole scene was in general.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. And it's your two characters who don't have powers, who are just human and super spies, but so it's what's very interesting about Clint Barton's character is the relationships that he has. I dare to say like a lot of them are very just non-conventional. He's kind of like this father of the Marvel universe, and he takes a lot of these women kind of under his wing or befriends them, but like in non-romantic ways.
Yeah, so it's very cool. Yeah.
He's just a very unique character in that facet and his relationships to the others. So kind of like that duo.
It's a good answer. He was there for Nat all the time, and then the end of Endgame, he was there for Wanda, and now he's there for Kate. Like, he's a great character. I love Clint. I've always loved Clint. I love that just how relatable he is. He looks like just like the most normal person ever. But then he can like pull all his moves out the bag. But I love Clint.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I
love Natasha too. I love both of them, but
right, yeah. But it's like the two of them also is just kind of crazy nice.
Their friendship is like I've said this multiple times, kind of online. Their friendship is, for me, the most convincing friendship in the MCU. Like I can't think of a better friendship. There isn't one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everyone else, they are all friends, but they're more kind of just like colleagues. They're the ones that seem like the most like proper friends.
She knew about his family.
Yeah, they're literally and he knew about Yelena. He named his kid after her, like Nathaniel.
Yeah, so good. And then the last one. I am gonna go with. I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody in my brain.
Is it the fact that like asking your favorite character and then you narrow it down to 5 and it's still hard to answer shows how many great characters there are.
Yeah.
The fact that you can't it's hard to choose 5 off the best characters. That like you're spoiled for choice. Well,
and because they're all so individual, I think.
Yeah, they're so different, all of them.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna go with Loki. Okay. Ironically, Loki was not my favorite show, but Loki as the character, I think, because when he has his moments, like he just sucks you in. Like when he's all like games and trickster, but then when he like gets real, you're just like, oh, the feels like Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston is great. And I think from what I've seen online, I'm pretty sure Tom Hiddleston has the biggest fan base out of everyone in the MCU. It's him or Chris Evans. It's one of the two of them. They like them two have the most dedicated fans that I've ever seen. It's actually like unbelievable how dedicated their fan bases are. Like they're specific, like the people that love them will do. They're crazy for them. It's impressive.
I get it. Like, look, Loki's this kind of reject in a way. He's kind of an outcast, and so I think there's a lot of relatable stuff to that as well. But he also deep down he wants, like, he thinks he's a bad boy, but he really wants to do good. And you got to lean into those really tortured soul kind of characters.
Yeah, they're always people's favorite characters, like the anti-hero kind of, where they're on the scale, whether they'll do good when it helps them, bad when it helps them. They're the most interesting too, because you never know what they're going to do.
Yeah. And then and then runner up is going to be Iron Man, because anytime somebody can like just be mean to a child, I'm just like, props, and get away with it. Yeah. Not that I hate children, but just like the character that he just kind of whips out there. It's Tony Stark, so he's a runner up. And those are my picks. Just
from what you said there, it reminds me of Iron Man 3, where he's with the kid Harley, and he's trying to do the puppy dog eyes and be like, oh, my dad left me. And he literally, like, he's in the car and he's like, I can see why. And he's like, he does like a little whiny voice that just rolls out the window and drives away. It's so funny.
I love it. Like, I'm like, because I mean, nothing against kids, but they're always just like, oh, you know how to behave around a kid. Yeah. And then Tony Stark's just like, I don't care. You're human enough. Like, I don't, but then he still has this lovely relationship with the kid. So
that's like, I think, I can't remember the exact quote, but Stan Lee said, like, he made Iron Man because he got told to make a character like who was unlikable be lovable. And he made a character that was like sarcastic, misogynistic, all this kind of stuff, and made him everyone's most loved character like ever. Like,
he was
and it worked.
Avengers, yeah.
Yeah, like people, like, he was the heart of the Avengers in my opinion, but like the character in general, it was more like someone said, like, try and do this, and he made a character with every personality trait that should be a negative thing and made you love them. I love Iron Man too. I'm a huge Iron Man fan. But so we got the next question here from actually my friend Chris, and he says, if it was a real life situation in a LARP, do you think that you could take Jeremy Renner?
No. I would like to think that I could, but when it came down to it, he would probably kick my butt.
He's been training for 10 years. He's got to have picked up a few things.
He has to have, he knows some stunt work and how to actually wield some arrows and weapons. I would like to think I could, and be all like,
I reckon we start a petition for it, like the Zemo dance. The next question here from Alex. If you could choose any superpower, what would it be? And we'll go two different questions because it's hard to answer. One, if you were in the MCU, so there's villains, there's things to fight, all that kind of stuff. And two, just for real life now, because obviously there's no things you need to fight or anything like that. Just something that would be fun or useful or whatever.
Okay. I have always liked the idea of telekinesis.
That's my answer when people ask me.
Because that's just, it's a good staple. You can do a lot with it. You can even fly, so it kind of knocks out the whole flying, power. You get kind of two for the price of one.
Yep.
If we're thinking practically in real life, a time turner, because I never seem to have enough time to do everything that I want to or need to.
I think teleportation would be a good one for real life too. Just cut out commute time anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like you come home from work, you can just be on a beach somewhere until you need to go to work again. Like teleportation is a good answer. Anything that cuts time, basically. Teleportation, like even super speed, time control, for real life, time answers are the best answers in my opinion. That's a good answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm like, I have so much to do before Christmas. I need more time. And I was like,
I'm finished on my Christmas stuff. This is the first I've been on top of it this year. I had it all done before December.
Solid. I have a Christmas coming up on Saturday, so I'm still trying to prep for that.
So this is from a guy called PIKL. Do you think the LARPers could show up again, and would you be interested in them showing up again?
I would personally love for them to show up again.
I assumed that would be the answer.
I'm not biased at all. No, I think they're a lot of fun, even as like a cameo in some future episode or
Yeah.
something.
If it's
Or a
something that just
show.
happens in New York, there's so many things that's based in New York that it's not like it's nowhere near impossible to happen. People
Yeah.
from random projects crop up everywhere in the MCU, or even objects in the background of scenes crop up everywhere. Like,
It's true. It's like, well, there's a lot of hope. It could happen. We're like At a Tempo kept talking about we're established in New York. A lot of stuff happens in New York, guys. You
literally,
never know. As long as you don't see our death on screen, which even then,
I was
it's
about
the
to say that.
multiverse. So
Even if you
anything
do,
goes.
yeah.
Anything goes. So yeah, that would be a dream to be able to bring them back.
So the next question here is from a guy from Instagram called Crispy K, and this is in relation to episode 4 and the whole conversation about designing costumes. If you could design your own costume, what roughly would it look like, colors wise, or kind of what would you want to include in a costume for yourself?
Ooh. All right. It would be very like dystopian style, practical, not too heavy.
Great start.
I love dystopian and fantasy fiction. So if it
That's
looked
my
like
favorite.
right, so like if it looked like it was a superhero from Middle Earth, then that would probably work.
That's my that's literally like Lord of the Rings is like my favorite thing in the whole world too. Oh my god.
Yep.
I have wore this this one ring, this top one here, since I was about 10 years old, and I've never taken it off. I love Lord of the Rings. That's such a good answer. I mean,
Respect.
you kind of got like the LARPer stuff is, medieval, maybe not Lord of the Rings, but that kind of fantasy themed.
My friends were like, did they write this role for you? Because I get to like play a Viking. We always joke that, Viking is that's on my to-do, my bucket list, because it's definitely like in my wheelhouse. And I never expected to play a Viking within a LARP, but like I'll take it. So yeah, that was it would be like, yeah, superhero from Middle Earth with some nice greens and brown tones.
Very cool, very cool. I can picture it. So who knows? That's how Simu Lee got his role. He just pitched it to Marvel on Twitter.
Oh,
Or,
yes, I remember hearing about
yeah,
that.
he didn't invent Shang-Chi obviously, but he literally just tweeted at them like, "Yo,
Just like,
I want to play this character."
hey guys, hey,
And
this would be cool.
I can't remember who it was. One of the Eternals done it too. He just
Really?
like it came from like a Twitter rumor years ago when they were like, "Hey, like, can I do this or whatever?" And then 5 years later, it's happening. Like, who knows? I
Gotta
would
like
pitch it if I was you.
kickstart my Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Next question is just quite a basic one as well, but it's interesting. What's your favorite MCU film?
I I guess I don't know if this is another easy answer, but I'm a big fan of Endgame. I mean, it's a culmination of a lot of storylines and a lot of history that's now coming together. But I mean, come on, when the Doctor Strange and everybody walks out and you're
Oh
just
my god,
like
that
crying and cheering, and I just get chills every time I see that moment because it's a culmination of so much to get to that
like
point.
I'm convinced that is the best fan experience of all time. It would be
Yeah.
very hard to beat it.
Right. I mean, it's just so many players in one
And the,
part.
the,
Yeah.
the, the fact that it was pulled off successfully too is unbelievable. Like that many characters with that many things going on, and it was
Mhm.
great. That
Yeah.
that you've got to say my answer is Endgame too, but you'd be surprised. There's a lot of everyone in the Marvel fandom online. Like there's arguments for like pretty much most of the movies as to why it could be someone's favorite.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd say a runner-up would be Civil War.
another great answer. Like my five is quite interchangeable, but Civil War's in there definitely. I love Civil War too. Anything with all the big characters in it, like you just can't go wrong. They're all great. Like
Right. Yeah.
so I've got 7 questions that are kind of quick fire, this or that, or like one word answer kind of questions. And then that'll be kind of wrapping it up here. So first one, Iron Man or Cap, like for like Civil War, Team Iron Man, Team Captain America. It's a big debate.
In real life, Adele would probably go with Iron Man, but idealism Adele would go with Team Cap.
Okay. Clint Barton or Kate Bishop?
Oh,
I'm gonna make you choose.
hurts. Oh,
I'm
that
gonna make
hurts.
you choose.
I'm gonna say Kate Bishop because she brings out Clint Barton.
Okay, a technicality answer. Okay. Spider-Man wise, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland?
Oh, um,
There's no wrong answer, of course,
yeah,
but
they keep
it's a
changing. I was like, oh, I thought the other guy was good. Oh, I thought that guy, I'll probably go with Tom Holland. Props to Toby for being the OG, although when he went emo, it got a little weird. Yeah, Tom Holland's got a lot of that spunk, but it's also, you're like comparing high school to college. It's a different era of Spider-Man's life. But I'm gonna say Tom Holland.
okay. Okay. Loki, WandaVision, or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier? I'm not including Hawkeye because I know your answer. We've established your bias. Also, it probably is the best show. But Loki, well, just from the previous three, not including the animated one, what's been your favorite?
Okay, I'm gonna say runner-up is Winter Soldier Falcon because I like how they explored some tough topics.
Okay.
And it's just a good classic Marvel drama. But WandaVision was just so original. It was so original. And everyone's like, oh, this is so weird. This is so weird. And I was like, no, no. You knew from the trailer going in it was going to be weird. Just trust that Marvel's going to get there. And they did. And it's such an original story.
You have the exact same order that I would put them in.
Mm-hmm,
So the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I loved it. It was great. But it's just like, not that it's a bad thing. It's just like a generic, safe Marvel show. It's super soldiers, like fighting, all that kind of stuff. I loved it. Second was Loki, just because Tom Hiddleston and time and space, and it's all very. I love magic and fantasy too, like you said earlier. And then WandaVision, I don't know what it was, but it like really caught me. I was addicted to it. I even got a tattoo on my leg of one of the quotes, "So long, darling," from Vision. But that show, I loved that so much. Like that's from my eyes, that's a great order.
Well, and then from production wise too, just like respect
I
that they
loved it.
shot
Yeah,
it like a sitcom, like they were all in. Like
so I had like the privilege of speaking to a few of the actors and learning about it. It was so different because I spoke to people who worked on Loki too, and seeing like the differences and the way that WandaVision was shot and filmed and everything like that. It's so different to like how they had like a live studio audience and the costumes that they wore and the sets and even the special effects on strings and stuff. It was like, every episode going through the decades was different. They had to get like a different character, a different personality. It was, I just loved it, how different it was. Next question. If you have one, what's your favorite of the 6 Infinity Stones?
Oh. I don't even remember what all 6 are off the top of my head.
It's space, space, reality, the time stone. I thought you would have said the time stone because of the time turner question. And then there's the mind stone, the soul stone, and I'm missing one, and I look like a fake fan now. The power stone.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna go with the green one because green is my favorite color.
Yeah, that's the time stone. That's perfect.
Okay,
yeah.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, the Doctor Strange one. He has it in his little.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. I was speaking to my friends last night, and I had that written down, and they were like, "People aren't gonna like." They probably won't know what all this. That's like they were like saying like that's like for like diehard nerds that know all the stones. And I was like, I don't know. I'll say if you have a favorite. The next question you've already answered. It was going to be Infinity War or Endgame. But I assume your team Endgame, same as me. The last one to wrap up everything. It's a very heated question in the Marvel community. Very topical question. Who, in your opinion, is the most powerful character in the MCU?
Oh,
that's a tough question.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm at a bit of a disadvantage because I don't know all of the comic stories. So
that's in the MCU, which means that's just the movies.
Okay, so just the film.
Yeah.
Okay,
not in general, just like from the movies. Who's the in the cinematic universe? Who's the most powerful in your opinion?
Okay, all right. Most powerful. I feel like I'm running through everybody in my brain.
Yeah.
I
The
feel
general kind of top five is like, not in an order, is like Thor, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Hulk. They're kind of
yeah.
like, that's normally the debate is between the characters. If you
So
want
I
to
was
choose someone else, go for it. But
no, I was leaning towards Thor. I'm ruling out Hulk because even though he's strong, he doesn't have control, which makes him lose power.
yeah,
Um,
like power means everything. Yeah, not just like how strong you
yeah,
are.
power's like your connections, your mind, your strength.
Your potential. It's everything.
Mm-hmm. Scarlet Witch is probably gonna get pretty dope with her powers, I'm sure, because she's already getting there.
Yeah, there's no definitive right answer to this. It's slightly like kind of opinion based.
Sure, yeah. And then Doctor Strange, but then if he loses those stones, he kind of loses his power. So I'm gonna say it's probably between Scarlet Witch and Thor.
That's normally the top two. So you can't go wrong with
Oh,
that.
well, I guess there's Ms. Captain Marvel too. I always forget about her because she's
Yeah,
so
Brie
powerful. They
Larson.
had to like literally send her away because it's like she's a little bit of a fluke in the universe for me personally. Because she's like one of the more powerful ones, but like she didn't really lose much to gain her power. So to me, it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
she just got lucky. So, sorry if anyone's a Captain Marvel fan.
I've never heard it put like that, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
I mean, like everyone else had to go through trials to get theirs,
Oh,
and she just kind of got hers. And
Thor
didn't
lost
really
everything.
lose anything. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like Marvel was just trying to compete with Wonder Woman, and it didn't quite match up for me. But
Oh, I love Wonder Woman. I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan. I agree. Yeah, Thor lost everything, his whole family. Loki about 7 times. He lost his eye. Like he went through a lot, and then obviously Wanda lost everything too. Like Vision about 7 times as well. Her kids, like her brother, her parents, like they've done their time to, gain their status.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, so I think that just about wraps it up. I just got to say thank you for giving me the time to talk to you. It's a pleasure talking to people in my favorite franchise, as always. Just for people watching, do you want to say like where people can find you on social media? And I'll leave everything in the description as well, all links to it.
Yeah, I'm really just on Instagram.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
What's your @ on Instagram? Just if anyone's going to search it up.
It's Adelle Drahos, one word, ADELLEDRAHOS.
Perfect. And like I said, it'll be in the description for anyone watching as well. So I strongly advise you check it out. There's a lot of cool Hawkeye pictures over there. I've seen them all. It's very interesting.
Yes, up there.
What's that? Sorry?
Is that I got a few BTS I'll be posting up there.
Oh yeah, the people in the fandom love the behind the scenes. It's always very interesting. Just like trying to look for anything that people missed, but like detectives. But yeah, just thank you again, everyone. I'm sure if people are watching this, they already know, but make sure you check out the Hawkeye season finale next Wednesday, the 22nd of December. It's going to be mad. I'm loving the show so far. You've been great in it. Everyone's been great in it. I have no faults with it, which it's just been amazing to watch every week. I've been really excited for it, and the Christmas vibes are immaculate. To anyone else that's watching, if you want to take part in interviews in the future, join my Discord server, which will be linked down below as well. That way you can ask questions to people like Adele here, which is very exciting. I still get nervous doing stuff like this. I love it so much. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So there you have it. That was my first interview with a Hawkeye actor. I hope you enjoyed it. There will be more to come in the future. So like I said at the start, if you want to submit questions, if you want to be a part of this, which I like getting as many people involved in as I can, click the link in the description to my Discord or even my Instagram, because that's where I reach out for questions. But apart from that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.